Well, Visa, it's up 5%, $10. Options are up like 100%. I can't name more than three credit cards, guys. Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. I don't know any other ones. They're the same. It's the same sector. It's the same customers. It's the same product. Money. Lending. They even have the same interest rates. Most of their cards are 19.9%. And then they have their various cards. They'll probably all have a travel card, rewards card. It's the same. There's no actual choice. Yet, the calls were destroyed on American Express and the puts, and the calls on Visa are up 100%. I am going to avoid this market until November 2nd, when the Fed comes in and tells people, hey, what we're doing is working, and since it's working, we are not going to deviate. Everyone is pumping SPY, even though $112 billion was removed from it just today from just Google going down. Their third largest holding brought them down 112 billion, and it's doing nothing but green. Like, it's actually insanity. Like, it's not even funny at this point. It's a joke, because they're moving in ways that should not be happening. Bad news is bad news. Bad news is not good news. If Google goes down, SPY goes down. It doesn't go green. There's no reason to be bullish. Especially hours after earnings. No, like they're telling you we're losing profit. And we are one of the biggest companies on earth and on this entire indices. So you don't pump it minutes after just because the market's like this. It makes no sense. And so the reason I have to wait till November 2 is because the Fed is going to come out, and they are gonna just. They haven't pivoted. It's November. They haven't pivoted. They're not going to pivot. They were never going to pivot. Bunch of pundits on CNN and Fox and wherever else, MSNBC, endlessly parroting a pivot so that they can exit liquidity of their portfolio on the people that follow them, while they move to cash positions. That's all that's happening. The Fed has no intentions of pivoting in any way. It will be a 75 basis points hike, and then a 50. They've already told you their goals and their targets on the percentage point that they want. They want 4, 6 to 5. They already said that the whole year, and they said it'll take us the whole year to get there. Now, what they could have did is just made it 5 right away and let the market react instead of this. And this soft landing BS that makes trading incredibly volatile and risky day to day, in all forms, options, holding, you name it. So that's where I'm at on that. McDonald's, I was calling it out in my Discord. We were talking about it all weekend. We were getting ready to buy it, calls for tomorrow, like we did on Craft. We were getting ready to buy it because it's, it's like Coke, like Pepsi. It's comfort food. It's likely going to perform. It's going to have good earnings, okay? Can't even recommend it at this point because the options today, one day before earnings, are up. I'm looking at, at the money, okay, is 50%. One strike up, 72%. And I mean, it's at 260. The 270, the 267 and the 270, which 267 is nothing, okay, from 260. 267 divided 260, that's 2.5%, okay? 2.5% out of the money is up 106% to 113%. So the market makers have already front ran this. So even if it beats, it's going to open and both sides are going to be crushed. both sides will be crushed by whoever holds it overnight because the profit's already been made today, a day ahead. So going forward on some of these earnings plays, you may actually have to get in 2 full days ahead before the last, a lot of the last callouts, the Nike, the Carnival Cruise, the Levi's, a lot of those you could just get in the day before earnings, hold it overnight, or hold it into after hours if it was in after hours, and that was good. They've now added a full 24 hours to these moves, and I know that they kind of have pivoted because on these options. Okay, I'm not talking about the Fed. They've kind of altered. Pivot was a bad word. They've altered their strategy because Coca-Cola did the exact same thing. The calls were up 200%, but a full day before the earnings. Okay, and a lot of companies are falling before as well if it's going to be bad. Like Snapchat was bad the day of, even though it was up, it wasn't good. And then in the after hours, it cratered, right? So you might have to be, if you are playing these earnings and these options, you might have to actually do it a full 2 days in advance now. I am not going to do any call outs, and I'm not going to even participate in the market until November 2. It's going to be a long 5 days because I don't got anything to do other than this. But I cannot get into a market where you have an AXP beat, and it should have been like a Visa. Calls should have been up 100%, if not more. UPS should have tanked. They pumped it to 175, destroyed the calls, destroyed the put. Like, the calls weren't even that good. I shouldn't say they destroyed the calls. The calls weren't even that good because no one had expected it, so there wasn't that much IV in them. And then in the same day, drop it to 165, 166 and change. And it's right now it's 167. So it did what it was supposed to do, fall, but it took 2 days. Why? It's the same. It's the same as FedEx. It's the same customers, the same issues, right? Food, it's the same. It's all profit. It's like oil. It's the record profits, record prices leading into record profits, because the prices are skyrocketing for their product. Why is it only up 6 cents? Kraft. Why is the options destroyed? I can't play a market that isn't predictable with any sort of rationale. Like, there's no rationality. I can't. SPY should not run. It's almost green. It's only down 0.12, 0.09. It's literally like rallying while I'm making this video. It's almost green, and 112 billion was removed from it. Google, okay. Let's pull up Google real quick. Let's see what it's at. Okay, it's still down 7.3%. Okay, the market cap was 1.39 trillion. Okay, it was like 1.4 trillion going into today. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12. Okay, so 1.4 trillion times 0.925. It's 7.5%. Oh, sorry, 928. Okay, $1.3 billion. Sorry, $101 billion gone. 101 billion. It was 112 earlier, but Google went up a little bit. It was all the way down to 90. It was down to 94.38 earlier. Okay, regardless, it's 100 billion friggin' dollars, and SPY is this close to being green, and it's the third largest holding. That's not real. That's not real. I don't know how else to put it. I was in AMC for the longest time, and it's the same. There's things happening there that there's no way what's happening is actually not fraud. And you should know at this point that most of this market is controlled by computers. 1000%. We are the very small minority of people that are actually sitting here and entering a buy and a sell, and looking at options. 99.9% of this whole system is AI. Okay? So something's up. I don't want nothing to do with it until the Fed finally puts a nail in this bullshit. And it's only going to last for probably a day or two, or a week, maybe, because they're going to go, oh, yes, we knew it. They were going to do the 7-5 and then the 5. Even though we said it was going to be the 5 and then maybe nothing. Like, they change their story every time, too. Whenever the Fed says, no, it's still 75, they go, oh, we knew it. We knew it. They said that they are going to take a look. They just keep saying the same thing. It's not at all what the Fed is saying. The Fed is constantly saying what they're going to do, and then they do it. They are the 0.01%. They are the richest entity going. They print money for the United States. They're not a government agency. They control and own the U.S. of A. with their printed money that's backed by nothing. It's fake. There's nothing to it. It's actually worthless cash. There's no value to it. It's a perceived value that we put on it, and we should actually put a zero value on it, and the Fed would be gone. Poof, because they would have nothing that anybody wants. They would have a bunch of trees mulched into paper with ink on it, where you could just straight up be like, we don't even use the USD anymore. We use USC, a crypto made by the government. And sorry, Fed, you want us to pay you back, but now the value of your paper that you lent us, that you call the dollar, that the value of that is the value of the product itself. So we owe you maybe 1 cent per pound of it, or whatever. Like, you, as soon as you would just detach from the dollar that isn't yours, it's the Fed's. The dollar is not yours. It's the treasuries that you just decided to accept as currency. You could, in a small village, you could accept beads or rocks as currency. It's whatever you accept. If I'm doing a trade with someone, I have a car and they have a motorbike, and I'm like, hey, let's swap. I like what you have. And he's like, okay, that's called a currency. That's the trade. You've chosen to accept this hyper-inflated dollar that has actual no tangible value because there's no gold backing to it. And it's propping markets and doing all sorts of bullshit and putting you guys in extreme levels of debt. Go look at your U.S. debt clock, because you have to borrow it endlessly to get yourselves out of various crises and situations. But there's that attachment of, hey, this is a loan. But if you were to say, sure, yeah, give us that, and then you use it, and in the meantime, and then you eventually go, hey, this is actually worthless, and we don't want to use this as current, that would be the end of it. Your debt would be like nothing. And what would the Fed do? They're not a body of anything. They couldn't do anything. What are they going to do? Sue you? What, cry? Nothing. They do the same as everybody else who's getting robbed day in and day out on this damn market. They take their lickings, and that would be that. Because there is no other alternative when you're getting robbed from bullshit, from AI pumping or dumping anything they want and choose at any time by any amount. What was Google's earnings? Did it warrant a 9% drop in a single day? I don't know. Maybe. But who controls that? When you can't even trade, most people can't even trade at specific hours of the market, okay? We are seconds away from SPY being green today. It's very disturbing to me. Like, that's actually... it's upsetting. Because there's no way the SPY goes green when that happens to the third largest holding. That would be like me having a Lambo, a Ferrari, and a Maserati, and I go drive one and I crash it. And then I have 7 other cars. And then someone goes, hey, it's cool, your net worth just went up. No, it didn't. I just crashed one of my most expensive 3 cars that I own. It's green now. So it's now 3 cents green on the day. The computer algorithms refuse to actually price in what the Fed has done and doing and what's actually happening. House prices in some places are down 90%. 90%. House sales, in some areas. Food is up double digits now. It's over 10% up. Gasoline went from, like, I saw pictures earlier this year, under $2 a gallon, 6, 7, 8, $9. Okay, the SPY should be lower than what it was in 2020, when things were actually better. Even going into COVID, things were better then than they are now, price-wise, economy-wise, everything-wise. Okay. This should be the S&P should be like 2,200, not 4,000, not 3,850 or whatever it is, right? I just assume it's like 10-1 SPY. I don't even really look at it. But 21 cents green on the day. Front running things like McDonald's into earnings, and then on earnings they will just destroy both sides. It's a disturbing market, and you can really do some damage to yourself right now if you're not careful. I'm sure there's a lot of SPY winners, a lot of permable winners. I'm sure you're out there, and you said, "Oh, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about." But I'm telling you, when the Fed doesn't pivot or even potentially doubles down because of never-ending rallies, see. Their thesis is what they do lags. So they do a little bit, and then they see, well, it's not working. And then they do a little bit, it's not working. Like, in the sense of the it is working on products and consumers, but the markets, it's not working. When they see that, they go, okay, well, we're going to have to do more. We have to do more because they're not getting the message. They're still spending the money. They're not investing in bonds, which is where they want you to put your money right now. They want you to put your money into a bond and chill out. I don't know. Essentially, I don't know exactly why they care so much, personally. But that's what they want you to do. And they control how your entire country runs because they control your dollar. So they can, and that's like trade, global trade and everything, right? So if they want you to do that and you're not doing it, therein lies the problem, okay? Now they have to take an additional measure. Maybe 75 isn't going to be enough. So when the bad news comes, which it will, it's going to be a bad day for everyone who just relentlessly bought and 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 thought we were going to go on some marvelous Joe Biden rally into Christmas time. Oh, it's a Christmas rally. It's a midterm rally. It's a bear bounce. They have all these fancy names. It's all bullshit. None of that is fucking legit. None of it. It's a fucking facade. It's an illusion. They're gonna rob everybody. And it's gonna happen swift and fast. It's gonna be like ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. It's gonna be bloodbath. Last January, for example, was in a bloodbath. 28 out of the 31 days, I believe it was just red. The whole month was red. It was red. And I think November was pretty close to it too. I remember January, you could not get a Green Day. And they were like, "Oh, this is the worst. This is the worst start to a trading year in like 40 years." We've had a few of those in 40 years already this year. It's getting old. Pick a direction and stick to that, and let it happen. Stop with this endless hope, pumping all this hope into people, and when you know what you're going to be doing, and when the real situation is constantly being revealed in these numbers, in these home sales numbers, in these homelessness numbers, in these jobless numbers, in these inflation numbers, in these consumer price increases numbers. The real numbers are not lying, because they're numbers and don't care. They're just a statistical fact. They don't care about an opinion. They don't. I don't know. This was a long one. I had to get off my chest after seeing what I've been seeing today. So, I mean, and even oil, guys. When oil is screaming, it is screaming right now. That's not good for everything else, because everything else requires fuel to be made or moved, which means it's going to cost more to do that, to make it and to move it, which means to buy it will cost more. How can you have oil rally and the SPY? Explain it, please. Like I'm a 2-year-old, or like I'm Joe Biden licking an ice cream cone and all is well.